Thank you. I'm Mr. Lehner, and welcome back to Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza. Isn't it a great sound to hear the applause back? We are back to the technology of Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza, which means no more of my fancy drawings, my perfect penmanship and handwriting on the board. Yeah, I know, it's not that neat, but it is distinctive. So, I'm glad to see that the technology is back, and today we're going to get into a new unit, which is decimal ops, which stands for decimal operations. Now, in decimal operations, you're going to use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with some questions to figure out how to solve these questions. So, we're going to use each one of these operations and figure out when to use them in problems to solve. So, a lot of times you're like, when am I ever going to use this in real life? Well, you're going to use these decimal operations to help you solve real life situations. Let's not waste any more time. Let's look at the example. And yes, we're back to food. Mr. Lehner buys food for a nacho party at Hazel Green. He has $18.43 to spend. He bought nachos for $6.56, cheese for $5.37, and peppers for $4.24. How much money does Mr. Lehner have left after he pays for the items? So, I'm going to use a couple different operations here. I know that I have $18.43, and I know the cost of each of the nachos, the cheese, and the peppers. So I'm going to start with addition. I'm going to add up the price here. And again, we're not talking about tax yet, but if I went to the store, I'd want to know how much my items are going to cost. So I'm going to say tax is included here. So $6.56 plus $5.37 plus $4.24 is going to give me my total of $16.17. That's the total it's going to cost me at the store. And again, I don't want to get to the store and be like, ooh, I don't have enough money. So it's good to be able to figure out what the exact cost is going to be. Then I'm going to use subtraction. I'm going to take the total that I came with, which was $18.43, and I'm going to subtract the cost, because that's what the money I had to spend to buy the items. So I subtract $16.17, so I'm left with $2.26. So after my trip to buy nachos for the 6th grade class here at Hazel Green, Mr. Lehner is left with $2.26 because I started with $18.43 and I spent $16.17 of that money. So again, you don't want to be that person up at that store being like, ooh, do I have enough money? Do I not have enough money? Some of you might be at home saying, well, what about credit cards? Well, yeah, you can charge and swipe that plastic credit card, but you also don't want to spend more than you can afford to pay off. Because yes, it's nice to swipe the credit card, but eventually you got to pay that money back. So I don't want to overspend what I have to make sure that I have enough money to spend. But again, I used the operations of addition and subtraction here, and I was able to find my total. Ooh, I love this slide, and I'm sure you've missed this slide too. This is your turn. Here's your problem at home. A drink dispenser at the Prairie Cafeteria can hold 261 liters of apple juice. How many 0.4 liter drinks can be dispensed before a refill is needed? So again, this giant apple juice machine, tasty, is going to dispense out drinks. Each drink takes 0.4 liters. That's the size of the cup that it's going to fill. So, I know the pencil's out already. I know the notebook's ready to go. You might have a calculator as well. Go ahead and pause the video and we'll see what you come up with. Alright, so I know that this container holds 261 liters of apple juice. And I know that each one comes out as 0.4. So I'm going to tell you my little hint. I decided to use estimation in this one. Estimation's coming up in 1.2, but I used it here. Just a little sneak peek, but don't tell anybody. Alright, so I decided to go with 100 drinks. Imagine 100 drinks came out of this machine and I filled up my cup. So I took 100 drinks times 0.4 because that's how much each drink is. And that told me I would use 40 liters. So if I were to fill up 100 0.4 liter cups, I would have 40 liters used. So then I got to thinking, well, what about 500 drinks? 0.4 times 500 got me 200 liters. So I knew I was kind of close, but I still had to go up a little bit more. Eventually I found out that 0.4 times 652 drinks would take me to 260.8 liters. Now, the reason I couldn't get one more drink is if it was 0.4, it would take me over. I would only have half of a drink. I wouldn't have a full drink. So, I found out that there's 652 drinks I can make that would use 260.8 liters before I would actually need a refill. Hopefully the cafeteria people at Prairie, I think, would be very happy if that were true, because 652 drinks is a lot of apple juice that students would be drinking. But when you're working with food, or in this case working with drink, you'd want to know this to help you to realize, oh hey, how many drinks are we going to be able to dispense before we need to refill this machine? So there's two real life situations we're using decimal operations to help you solve a problem. Love that sound. Thank you for tuning in to Miss Landers Math Extravaganza. As always, we'll see you next time.